Obviously, a quick warning that the subject matter of this video is going to be kind of awkward and uncomfortable, but if you clicked on this video with a title like this, then you probably knew what you were getting yourself into. Most circumcised people have been circumcised when they were a baby. Even though my mum advocated for it, my dad didn't really see the use, so I just grew up uncircumcised, and so did my older brother. And like I was talking about this with like a few friends, and it's crazy because they didn't even know that the outer shell existed, and they barely even knew what circumcision was because it's just always been like that for them. It's primarily Jewish and like black babies that are like circumcised, usually out of a sense of tradition. And obviously it is easier to do it as a baby so that you will not remember the pain, a privilege that I will not experience. However, as some of you may know, I've spent the last 2 years really diving into Christianity and reading the Bible. And essentially, in the Bible, circumcision is a symbol of Abraham's trust in Yahweh's covenant. The idea that one day Yahweh will save him through Abraham's family and that salvation will be brought upon all the nations. And we Christians interpret the fulfillment of that promise as the coming of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And so, even though I'm not Jewish, nor do I believe in like a holy bloodline per se, I was eager to be circumcised just as a symbol of my trust and my, admiration of Abraham and stuff, and my trust in God's promise. Also, circumcision has been used as a symbol for the Hebrews' sexual morality compared to their neighbors, and that sexual morality is something that I want to practice throughout my life. Though obviously, just being circumcised won't, solve all my spiritual problems, and it won't actually make me a better person, but it's more of a symbol that I'm willing to begin on that journey. As we move to the New Testament, and the Apostle Paul says that circumcision is not of the flesh, but the heart, the removal of these earthly, fleshly desires to embrace the spirit within us of God. Circumcision is removing the desire to sin to fully embrace God, basically. So, I will spend the rest of my life trying to spiritually circumcise myself. But I still think the physical circumcision is a beneficial thing, and I'm glad I did it. Also, there are many like secular scientific reasons for why circumcision is a positive thing, so I just kind of thought, why not? So last year I asked my mum, and in her home country, it's more of a tradition, and she was pretty eager for me to do it. So, luckily, even though we had completely different reasons for wanting to do it, we just kind of came into agreement and we were like, sure. So, we go to the NHS and we ask. And obviously, um, the thing is, I feel like for any surgery that's not a complete emergency, then you'll have to wait a while. But we waited for like half a year to get this thing done, mainly because it wasn't like I wasn't in actually any genuine health problems, and this was more of a like personal, not leisure, but I don't know the term. But essentially, it wasn't the priority, and there's waiting lists. And I spent, I think, 6 to 7 months just doing blood tests, vitamin tests, getting all my info, pulling down my pants for old wrinkly men, both in the hospital and out. One thing that my mum was concerned about was that they would not allow the surgery due to if I only presented religious reasons, and so I kind of like lied to the doctors, and I claimed that my outer skin was very tight and it was very painful. And I've got to say I was quite pleased with it because they didn't really pry. They one of the doctors did inspect it, and he was like, "Not sure what you're talking about, but you do you, and we'll still do it if you want to." The UK itself is giving Gotham City a run for its money right now in terms of dystopian hellhole, but the NHS is that one shining beacon. I think like the one thing I can say that I'm proud of my country, apart from Wallace and Gromit. We are given a date for the surgery and instructions for before and after. We read about circumcision. You have to fast for, I think a few hours before, like the beginning of the next day, basically. Me and my mum, we wake up super early in the morning. We drive to the hospital, despite my mum having a genuine battle against Google Maps and making wrong turns. And then, yeah, we go inside this patient room. A number of consultants come in. we wait for a few hours, and then it's time. And then, even though I was eager to do this, and um, even though I was eager to do this, I was still a little nervous because I had kind of been mentally prepping myself for the agony that laid ahead. I remember it was lying down on the operating, table, and I was shaking so much, like my ass was genuinely vibrating off the table. I really have to. I really have like. I promise this isn't sponsored by the NHS. Like the glaze. Like I was. It was a very positive experience actually. All the doctors were nice to me, and there was this particular nurse that I kept cracking jokes with. And the thing is, basically they're gonna put you under anesthesia with the needle and stuff, but I literally didn't even notice because they distracted me so uncleanly, and because there was this lady that I was cracking jokes with, and then basically by the time that they put the needle in, I was like, oh yeah, oh damn, and they've already done it. And then I start getting a little woozy, and then they're preparing more things, and then they get the oxygen mask. They just say breathe in and out, and then that is the last thing I remember. I remember waking up in another room, and then blacking out again, and then waking up back in the previous patient room in bed. And I literally had an argument with my mum about this. I was like, "How did I get here?" And then she said, "You got up and walked here." And I was like, "No, I didn't." And because I think that the anesthesia and the multiple drugs they give you, it like cooks your memory so bad to the extent that I have to trust my mum's actual account of that day because my entire memories inside the hospital are like hazy at best. What I what I do remember was that the drugs that they gave you to, calm you down and ensure that, you're settled and it's easier for you to like get through the surgery. They made me like bare giggly, and I was like cracking jokes with mum, like laughing in the bed and stuff. And I spent, I think, maybe an hour because, like I said, I don't really know. But the doctors did say I recovered quite fast, and eventually I started getting up and moving, walking around. What was quite scary was that obviously, you know, it's gonna be painful. So they give you, numbing drugs and stuff, so you can't feel it. And dude, I woke up so scared because I couldn't feel my meat. Like I thought I accidentally applied for the transgender surgery instead, and it was quite scary because I was walking around and I needed to use the toilet. So I go into the bathroom and I was genuinely terrified. Like I slowly take down my pants and then I see the thing and it's all bandaged and it's bruised and I literally couldn't feel it. It was bad. Even worse, I tried to take a wee and I completely missed. Like it was awful. I felt horrendous. I had to clean up alongside the doctor. Like it was bad. I was learning to walk again. Like I was a flailing child. So I missed the toilet completely. It was bad. Like I couldn't even like feel it. And yeah, eventually yeah, my mum like drove me home. First day was not that bad. Like I said, they gave us paracetamol and painkillers. But I couldn't feel like my thing. There was no pain because they put so many drugs to like numb it. But I woke up the next day like just dead because I the pain. The drugs eventually wore off, and I woke up at like 4 a.m., like just lying in bed, regretting life. Even worse, it was like the morning wood, and I could literally feel the stitches like on my dick, like stretching. I was in genuine agony. I tried to whip out my phone to just put on something to distract myself, but I was in so much pain I couldn't even like focus on the thing. And eventually, I just put the phone away and just started like just full on like reciting prayers. But it wasn't that bad. Like I wasn't in, any danger. And like I said, I mentally prepped for this. At around 6 a.m., it kind of stopped, and I wasn't even erect for like that long. I feel like the morning wood only lasted like maybe 5 minutes, but it was just like pain, and I couldn't even like move or stand. But eventually I did. I go into the toilet at like 6 a.m. and I was pretty scared, but I removed the bandages and it was disgusting. First, I had to whip out a microscope like usual to inspect it, but then I saw like stitches and it was like bloody and it was bruised and it was bleeding everywhere. For reference, they gave me At the hospital, they gave me a hospital gown and this like weird nappy that was quite soft and I could safely like wear it basically. And the nappy was like covered in blood. Like it was bad. Like I thought I was on my first period. And day two was the roughest day. Luckily, like I was lying down all day. I would only walk to do the bare minimum, and I would just be on my phone, like either playing games or like writing something or like reading manga or anything just to like distract myself. Luckily, the doctor gave me a sick notice for 2 weeks for college, which was a genuine relief. But I feel like in hindsight, I should have expected that. Though somehow I still didn't get marked in for the first day, even though I sent the email with the sick note to my like the not the head teacher, but like you know, I sent the sick note to my teacher, and I still get text from the thingy school, and it's like, why aren't you in school? And I'm like dying in bed. But luckily for the rest of the remaining 2 weeks, I got like sick marks, so my attendance is still salvageable. A genuine blessing of day three was that I was allowed to have a shower again, and basically the more exposure to water, the more that the stitches will degrade over time, and basically the stitches are like the most painful part, and it's like nice seeing like there's progress every day, and basically the entire first week my thing was just sore, like it was just painful, and like any kind of movement that was a bit too much would just result with me like on 1 HP. But to be honest, it wasn't too bad. And I have no one to blame but myself because they did provide painkillers, but I'm like stubborn and I don't like taking unnecessary drugs, even from medical professionals. I bigged myself up, I'm tough, I don't need the painkillers, I'll survive. And then at the most minor setback or the most minor like source of pain, I'd just be like on my knees. But yeah, I went through the whole thing without taking the painkillers or paracetamol. So I mean, like, I pulled through. I'm trying to think of other instances in my life that I've been through this amount of pain where it wasn't like an injury or anything. I'm drawing a blank. Like that day two morning wake up, and it wasn't even morning. Like I mentioned, it was 4 a.m. I will remember that for quite a while. Like I was dead. Like it was bad, but luckily, every day got every day got better pretty much. There would be and it would like be inconsistent. There were times where it would just flare up and I'd be minding my own business and it would just suddenly intensify with pain and I'd have to like stop what I was doing and stuff. Like it was bad. There was one moment where I was like annoying my sister and she kinda like kicked me in the balls and I like wore a smile and I don't know, like slowly backed away. And then the minute I was in my room, I just crawled into bed. Even without the circumcision, like that would just wipe out any man, I think. I mean, I can't think of much else to say really. I'm sorry I can't really go in depth with the actual procedure, but I feel like there's a lot more credible sources you could, go for if you want to go for that. I'd like to thank many of my friends for constantly checking in on me, just and expecting nothing in return because they really brightened my day, particularly day two. Like the build up to the surgery was so funny because like my friend like the day before my friend was like, oh my god guys, I've got like a urology apprenticeship I start tomorrow morning. And it's like shut up. or, or like one of my friends was like, watch me pull up in the doctor's mask or something. But yeah, Yahweh has blessed me with beautiful people in my life, and if you're watching this, you probably know who you are, so thank you very much. Another fun event was like basically like 3 days after the circumcision, I had a university interview in person, which was kind of bad, and I had to wear like normal pants because I spent the first few days wearing that nappy, but it was like getting very bloody, and even though it was comfortable, I did risk infection, which would be pretty bad. So eventually, I had to move on to normal pants. So I would be a liar if I said I wore them 24/7. To be honest, because I would whip out like the robes and stuff which go down to my knees, and then no one in the family knew, and it was low-key liberating. Like the fourth day, I think, I had this uni interview where I had to wear pants. And and like trousers for the first time and like go out in public and like touch grass. Like even without a surgery, that's a Herculean like effort for me. I was like dying, but luckily the interview went well and I got accepted into the school. I just kind of like had a poker face and tried to sit in a like very comfortable position, and I don't think the teacher could tell, so that's good. I don't know if I'm particularly happy with my like trim, like the Disney XD Riri Williams ass trim. But I mean, no, I mean, like my mom suggested it like the day before the circumcision, like new dick, new me or something. So I just, even though I'm proud of my afro, I just kind of went to go. I went from like season 3 Armin to season 4 Armin. That's insane. So yeah, that is the teenage circumcision experience. It was not fun, but I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad that I've aligned myself with Abraham and God's covenant, and I think that it'll just be like good in the long run, I guess. Plus, I missed 2 weeks of college, and that was honestly the best part, actually. So, I mean, yeah. The moral of the story is that maybe the true outer shell is the friends